What's the soup, guys? Welcome back to my channel where the grass is green and the girls are nowhere to be found. Get it? Because it's just me talking to my camera. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about websites that have either disappeared, are unrecognizable, or are straight up better than ever. So a lot of you have been asking me what Ask Jeeves is on my YouTube flyer, and I'm surprised how many of you either don't remember or never got to experience the wildly fun concept that was Ask Jeeves. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to not only talk about this wonderful search engine, but to also take you all on a nostalgic carpet ride through the decades of forgotten internet past. Through the magic of Internet Archive, we're gonna take a look at how these websites used to operate, what they used to look like. First up on our list is the reason for this video, Ask Jeeves. And what better way to describe this website than with its original logo. This Black Mirror-esque concept of having your personal butler trapped inside of your search engine is just classy and, dare I say,
elegant.
I have to say that this is the closest thing any of us had to ChatGPT when artificial intelligence was only a sci-fi concept reserved for Will Smith. So basically, Ask Jeeves was just Google dressed up in a tux, and it had categories to help you focus your search, but ultimately it was just a search engine. I remember I first met Jeeves in my kindergarten computer class, where we were encouraged to interact with Ask Jeeves Kids, or Ask Jeeves for Kids. This is all now a foggy memory, but it's shown me how far we've come as an internet cyber society. Ask Jeeves nowadays has become like a Yahoo-esque landing page with some news and some weird polls that you could take, but overall just another search engine. They unfortunately dropped the Jeeves part, so it's just called ask.com now, effectively eliminating their differentiator and whimsy and class. I don't know, guys, not a very classy website anymore. And speaking about Yahoo, let's take a trip back to the days of Yahoo Answers. Well, nowadays, if you have a hyper-specific question, you might find yourself asking ChatGPT or Googling the question and then adding Reddit at the end of your search, or crossing your fingers that Quora might have the answer already. Back in my day, you would just simply Google the question and boom, there the answer would be. Answered by some strangers on the internet 2 years ago, 2 months ago, on Yahoo Answers. On Yahoo Answers. On Yahoo Answers. On Yahoo Answers. Yahoo Answers. But it's hilarious because it was around in such an unhinged version of the internet. And it was a lot of children asking very real questions, not being prepared for the very real answers that they were going to get. Or extremely dumb questions being answered either viciously or hilariously serious. It was a humbling experience, realizing you weren't the only idiot asking about this topic, but at the same time it was a humbling experience realizing you weren't the only one asking about this topic, if that makes any sense. We're all just clogs in the machine.
We're all just clogs in the machine.
We're all just clogs in the machine. We're all just clogs in the machine. If you didn't live through Yahoo Answers, I'm genuinely curious how you survived this long without dying. Yahoo Answers was like a spicier version of Quora, but was discontinued by Yahoo in 2021. Honestly, probably due to the growing popularity of Reddit and Quora together. But I like to think that in the multiverse, there's those Wired It's Really Me videos with Yahoo Answers in them instead of Quora. I remember my first Yahoo question that I actually posted myself was trying to figure out why my Limewire download made my computer so slow. And it turns out I had downloaded malware. And that's another great website / software that has gone the way of the dodo. For all of you youngsters that are unaware and too spoiled with Spotify and Apple Music, there was a time way back when you had to physically download your songs. And there was a legit way of doing it, which was physically walking outside, getting in your car, driving to the nearest record store. I grew up in Mexico City. I'd go to this funky store called Mix Up, and then you'd have to physically buy a CD, take it back home, burn it into your computer, connect your iPod into your computer, download the songs into your iPod, and boom, you could listen to your favorite song on the go. I mean, you could also just download it on the iTunes Store, which was a predecessor to Spotify and Apple Music. But if you were like me and you didn't have access to a credit card, you have to summon the Dark Lord of Music.
Limewire.
Limewire was like a game of Russian roulette where you either downloaded the newest Black Eyed Peas song or a 25-minute video of two girls grabbing a cup and... Yeah, not a very fun gamble, but the interface was not that hard to pick up and the risk-reward ratio was not too horrible, but nevertheless, eventually it got banned. And then became Video to MP3, a website where you could turn any YouTube video into a song. And let me tell you, I used that website a lot. Quite a lot more than Limewire, even when it was still around. Because at least that way I knew what I was getting. And with all this free illegal music that you had just downloaded, you still needed to kick your feet up and relax. And what better way to relax as a prepubescent boy than with arcade-style games on the internet. Most of us in the early 2000s didn't have access to super powerful computers, so we couldn't really download any good games. But what we could do is log into Addicting Games or Miniclip, two websites that are surprisingly still up and running. Honestly, I don't know how much traffic these two websites get anymore, but let me tell you, back in my day, you'd go to any school computer lab, and these websites were as far as the eye can see. And smartphones weren't really a thing yet, so you would put your flip phone in your pocket if you had one, and nervously enjoy your afternoon until the computer hall monitor would catch you. I love to hear all these arguments today that we're addicted to our screens, either through Instagram or TikTok, and they have just consumed our entire free time and eyeballs. But realistically, I think we've always been mesmerized by screens. It's just we used to go to weirder corners of the internet to get our daily fix of computer time or screen time. But these websites were more for wasting your time during school hours. But one guilty pleasure that I'm not too proud to admit I took into my late stages of middle school was Club Penguin. Let me tell you, every day I would come back home from school, I would go bananas on Club Penguin. And for the uninitiated, Club Penguin was the world's first attempt of the metaverse.
Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse.
There was not a lot to do, but you had your penguin, and it could waddle around the server where you could complete certain tasks and get rewards, either to decorate your igloo or eventually maybe even buy a pet called a puffle. And what was a puffle? Don't ask. You never knew. I never quite figured it out, but it was a furry ball thing that you could keep in your igloo, and there was a free version and a paid version. And much like Fortnite, you'd pay to get different skins. On the free version, you had to wait for certain holidays or special events to get free accessories like shoes or hats or clothes, or you could pay a certain amount of money a year or a month to get access to all the accessories. And let me tell you, I wanted all the accessories. I would beg my parents to get the Club Penguin premium cards from the supermarket so that my penguin could be dripped out and my igloo could have 2 different levels and a dance floor. Well, let me tell you, I'd throw some crazy ragers in that igloo. This website game was eventually bought by Disney, as most popular things do, after their failed game Toontown didn't take off, and surprise, surprise, they ran it into the ground. Nowadays, I checked and there's a new Club Penguin. It's literally called New Club Penguin, and I'm not sure if it's still owned by Disney, and I'm definitely gonna play it because the music from the Pizza Cafe strikes a chord in my soul that nothing else has ever been able to come close to. It's my definition of elegance to this day. If I think of an elegant event or an elegant setting, the song from this Pizza Cafe plays in my head without fail. There was other copycats like Webkinz and Neopets, but I never quite got into them because you had to physically buy these stuffed animals to plug them into your game. And I was a little bit too old to confidently walk into a store and buy a Webkinz or a Neopet to play on the metaverse version for kids. Lastly, there was the first 2 pillars of social media, which were Myspace and Friendster. But I didn't really get to experience or use those websites. I got my Facebook profile around 2008 in an Apple store in Boston, Massachusetts, I forget the name of the mall. And let me tell you, baby, I was hooked. But also, I was too intimidated to start another social media website or profile, so I never got around to these 2 pillars of human interaction. I remember MySpace did a big push to come back into the cultural zeitgeist around 2014. They had Justin Timberlake as the face of this movement. I think he invested into it or something, and there was just a huge push to try to get people back on MySpace. But I think it was just antiquated already, or that form of social media was antiquated already. Even in 2014, Facebook was mostly reserved for parents, boomers, and getting these older generations to drop Facebook to learn a whole new interface like MySpace just was never going to work. And for the younger generations, Instagram was just taking off, so there wasn't really a reason for anyone to try to pick up MySpace again. Even with Justin Timberlake at the helm, he couldn't bring the sexy back. So yeah, guys, I imagine there's a lot of websites that I'm not remembering. So if you think of one that I didn't mention, drop it in the comments so I can take a look or remember. I hope this was educational or at least entertaining. And if you guys want me to explore any of these websites further, again, let me know in the comments. I think my next video is going to be me diving into Toontown, that online Disney video game that never quite took off, because I want to know what happened to it and whether it was actually good and just didn't get enough attention, or flaming pile of trash. Also, I want to know if it was underdeveloped or I was just too young and dumb to figure out how to properly play it. But I'm going to do a deep dive into what it was either way, so stay tuned for that. But until then, peace.